on my own now. Look at all the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Going so loud. Look at all the people trying to hold me back, told me that. Party on my own now. Look at all the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Going so loud. Look at all the people trying to hold me back, told me that. Slow down. Fuck going out, getting high on the weekend. Zone down. So loud. I'll party on my own. Hold me back, hold me back. Party on my own. Hold me back. I'll party on my own. Yeah, that's tight. Max Watson, Tony Romero. Party on my own.
You've seen me here before, above the mountain tops. With every step I take, I show the world what I got. I feel alive again. I feel like it's a new chance, free from the wasteland. And I've got nowhere to be, so I'm waiting. I don't need a rush, I'm patient. However long it takes, I'll be there one day. Hey. Eternal, I'm alive and chasing whatever it is I'm facing. I can't walk away. There's so much left to say. Hey. Our story never has to end. Eternal, I'm alive again. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I hope a good surprise. I could flip all the time that I borrowed and make another life. You can break my stride. There's a palace in my mind, made of light, and it shows. Yeah, yeah. The stars are falling, skies are raining gold. Yeah, yeah. Forever I'm free, that's what could be. So I'm waiting. I don't need a rush, I'm patient. However long it takes, I'll be there one day. Hey. Eternal, I'm alive and chasing whatever it is I'm facing. I can't walk away. There's so much left to say. Hey. Our story never has to end. Eternal, I'm alive again. Eternal, I'm alive again. Our story never has to end. What I'm saying might be reckless, but I meant it when I said it. And I know I might can't wait. I feel you getting closer. Count the minutes till I see you come on over. Overwhelmed, can't wait. I know you're getting closer. Count the minutes till I see you. Won't you come to bed soon? Wait in my bedroom, counting the hours till you get to me. Watch by the white moon, stuck in my bedroom, counting the hours till you get to me.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mini RPG of the Week. It is week 43, and we are edging ever closer to that week 50 mark and to a second season finale. But hey, we still got a few more editions, a few more maps to discover between now and then, and we are excited to get into tonight's with you. I'm Noah Lake. Joining me is, look, the man of many faces and many gestures at the moment, Boney. Welcome again to the stream.
It's great. Hey, how you doing, Noah? It's been I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to another fun race today. I mean, second time coming in. Thank you for having me once more. I enjoyed last time. It was it's an interesting journey. I'm a big fan of RPGs, though I don't usually have the time to play them. Both the ones like Final Fantasy and such, and in Trackmania in this case. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how the players will get challenged in this new mini RPG coming in from Sorrow this time.
Yeah, going to be very fun. Sorrow into map. I want to say it's Sorrow's first time doing a mini RPG of the week map, but someone would tell me I'm wrong potentially, and so I'm just going to say I think it is. It probably is. Who knows?
Let's go with it. First time, first time right, always right.
100%. First time, but I mean, hey, not Sorrow's first time building a map in general. Has been mapping for a very long time at this point, including on Trackmania 2020. Now, I did enjoy, Boney. I was going through Sorrow's previous maps for Trackmania 2020, just looking at them on Trackmania Exchange, as one does, just seeing what he built in the past. And his first map was called First Map. And the description of it was, this is my first and probably last map for Trackmania 2020. And that was 3 years ago. And he's made a few more since then. So he's got the experience.
Yeah, it's under what is it? Over promise under. No, there's something over under delivering. Either way, he delivered.
Yeah, over promise under deliver sounds a little bit like. I mean, that's my style, but it's definitely not one I think everyone should adopt.
One of those dichotomies. I mean, if you say it wrong most of the time, it's probably,
exactly.
Probably. Don't worry about it. They'll figure it out, right?
Gonna be totally fine. We have been promised a more technical map tonight from Sorrow, for whatever that means in a mini RPG setting as well. I mean, there's going to be plenty, I think, to talk about once we get into this one, because we have also been told there are going to be another reactor trick, or at least another reactor setup at some point on this. And we were talking about it a little bit before we got on stream here. It seems to be a theme for all of our mappers here in Spring.
Yeah, I mean, last time I also saw that being used quite a lot. In fact, through which some great cuts were found where initially that was, oh yeah, we'll never get below a minute to, wait, we're driving sub 50s almost. Yep. But at the same time, it does allow for shenanigans, to call them that, especially in an RPG format where usually tracks aren't your standard block side by side, instead of creative use of it all. I think reactor boosts kind of just lend them to it, just because of the fact that whereas some regular boost may be predictable, understandable, reactor boost I think for many people still is a bit of a black hole from time to time. To why am I flying up this time? I wanted to go to the left. Please let me go to the left. Yeah. Not so much in control in that sense compared to other types of driving.
It's very true. They're difficult to get down, and if you haven't practiced them, you may find yourself a little bit caught out on some of those tricks. The classic zoops that come through, and reactors are used at times as well, when you need to know when to air brake, when to tap those brakes to try and get your best landing and just get the most speed possible. And we'll see, is this one of those maps that does it? I have to say, I'm already a big fan of what I'm seeing on the map here, because we're getting awkward transitions. And I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of awkward transitions and making players drive a little bit slower and think about their transitions, because they tend to just open up a little bit more space in the field.
Yeah, it's flow is one of those things that players enjoy a lot within Trackmania. It's what usually gets described as a good map as well. I think within Dirt, for example, a flowy map usually is tends to be quite popular, right? Technical Dirt isn't as much, and this, very much is the opposite of that. I wouldn't call it jank, but it would feel that way. But it's in that sense a different style of driving, a different style of approaching a map using these blocks cut diagonally is one that we saw last time as well that I was here. And you all of a sudden have to deal with blocks in a way you never would see in that fact, which may be used for decoration or whatnot, right? That's I don't know where Jackie is going. I don't know where he needs to go either, to be fair. I'm looking at I'm as lost as they are.
Yeah, hey, look, we do have a slightly longer warm-up this week, 20 minutes instead of our standard 15, and that is a sign a little bit of the fact that there is some pathfinding to be done here, and that this is going to be a little bit more technical. It's going to come down to that car control for the drivers as well. They're going to have to do things that maybe they're not comfortable doing, and that's going to be maybe favoring some of the more experienced players, the people who know how their car reacts in unusual situations, and it's going to maybe weed out some of the players who are a little bit less experienced with the physics than some of those other guys.
It's looking like this, as the mapper suggested, they're expecting 58 seconds to be driven around the time that the players will get used to it. So far, we're getting some 117s, 116s coming in, so still some discovery to be done, to be found. And from the way we're seeing the map right now, it's a very flat map initially. Well, it starts off with the awkward jumps, as you mentioned, but towards the latter half, it does seem to be a bit of a twisty, turny type of map, with players kind of finding their own way forward.
Yeah, and I like that you said that. I think even in those starting bits, it is still a relatively flat map compared to what you kind of see from a lot of mini RPG styles, from RPG styles in general, where it is about those jumps. It's about playing with elevation and flips and getting players as high as possible and seeing how the landings look. So this one a little bit more interesting. Everything more or less on the level. I mean, hey, there is still elevation changes because it's still a Trackmania map and we get to do that. This ain't no F1 game.
True. I mean, that I would be impressed if at some point in the F1 season an RPG would show up, just for the sake of it.
That'd be pretty sick.
Not quite sure how the drivers would deal with that.
Yeah, having the bug slide in F1, I'm not sure how that'd work out.
That would be great to see. Just not get the slide off right. No slide happening. Guy throws away his helmet. Can't believe what happened there. Could have sworn I had the gear.
I thought I had the gear. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gear 5 Ice in F1, that's the next. That's where we really get into some shenanigans. I am noting as well, Boney, that there's a lot of reuse in the sense that there's a lot of turnarounds here, right? It's about getting in and getting the car facing the other direction as quickly as possible while still maintaining the speed that you need.
Yeah, it seems to start right from the point with the reactor boost. Oh, interesting, actually, going inside the hole, seeing still 777 finding his way forward. Starting to see a bit more of the track. I mean, the players are starting to get faster. Anix at the moment getting close to that predicted 58 seconds.
Getting there pretty
with
rapidly.
110 so far? No. I don't think it doesn't seem as risky, I will say, this track. There is a lot of back and forth, but I think around the time that these players will get used to the track in give or take 10 minutes, I expect, honestly, during rounds, not a lot of eliminations.
Yeah,
initially.
Hey, listen, we'll get our predictions in once we see how many players are actually in the server.
That's just me thinking.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'm not saying any numbers.
Not yet. I mean, we will. We'll get our numbers in eventually.
We'll get to it.
But at the moment, we're seeing the GPS as well here. Deployer getting flawlessly into that GPS on the first attempt, as far as I could tell anyway, and we won't check the tapes on that one.
No.
And we'll see how the GPS... I think we're seeing a lot of the players going for a left to right turnaround on this section in particular. Mapper going for a right to left turnaround and still having the angle to get up. We'll see what the kind of desired way ends up being in rounds with the top players in the field as well, or if it is kind of just Any way goes, whatever works for you, take whatever line you want through that section. The setup for the reactor definitely also going to be a big sticking point for the players in the middle of the map as well. That was highlighted by our mapper as a point to look out for. Seeing how players set up and how low you can go on the reactor while still having the speed to make that jump.
No, definitely. It's from that point on as well where we saw the mapper in the GPS knowing its route, but there are multiple ways of getting to that checkpoint before dropping down into the hole. I'm very curious to see if some players will not be aware of driving backwards being the answer, and not backwards in the way that we're used to driving backwards, which we all know is actually faster.
Yeah, well, in certain situations when the mapper sets it up and allows you. I mean, hey, honestly, if someone managed to find out that like you could make this turnaround faster by just going backwards,
oh, that'd be great.
I'd be pretty impressed. That'd be kind of sick. I do
just goes
like,
up all the way back.
yeah, it's a reactor, so you know if you could get the turnaround and get the reactor trick to reverse the reactor difference, and maybe something. I don't think so in this particular case. But maybe. I don't... Nah. Reactors are just witchcraft, as far as I'm concerned. So, anything is possible.
Definitely. I mean, talking about a reactor, usually reactors tend to be the source of a lot of cuts. Yeah. Would you say this reactor, the way it's set up, the way it's positioned, could lead to that? I'm not really getting that vibe myself, but...
I don't, just because of the way it's set up, where it's just a straight jump into a tunnel afterwards. It takes some creative rerouting, I think. Yeah. And with the amount of kind of scenery here, with Sorrow being a relatively experienced mapper as well, I'd imagine that's something that he's put a bit of thought into.
Oh yeah, I can imagine so, definitely. It's, I mean, it does the way the track is set up would lend itself to some creative rerouting, and maybe there is a way, but who knows, maybe it's faster, maybe it's not. Doesn't seem like the one where, type of map where, I think because it is as level in the way it's set up, that isn't really a lot of room to fly off to that one checkpoint up ahead on that one hill to somehow take advantage of that, or off in the distance. It's in that sense quite compact, quite level, and definitely rewards players who work on their pathfinding instead of trying to find a cut with a reactor. Perhaps that is the way forward, where not necessarily the cut, but more a more clever way that the mapper didn't anticipate.
Yeah, and of course it is worth noting because we are heading towards... Oh, I can't see that being faster first. I mean, that is a reroute, but hey, maybe it is faster, and that'd be interesting. A very quick one at the start there, and I mean, it's only a small little baby reroute. We are heading towards that Season 2 finale, which, look, we don't have all the details just yet, but decent chances that we'll be doing something similar to what we did for our Season 1 finale, and picking 5 maps from the pool of 25 here in Season 2, voted for by the community. And it is worth noting as well that the maps, after being played, if there is cuts found a lot of the time, get fixed and re-uploaded. My guess would be, again, I don't have all the details, I'm not an admin, I'm just the guy who comes here to talk about it, that any of the voted maps would end up being the fixed versions of the maps sans cut.
And that was also interesting because... again, RPG being that type of format that lends itself to cuts would lead to some more rediscovery even, or optimizing the expected lines. But even then, not every cut is perfect. I do know that. There have been maps which have been fixed over and over and over just to find another cut. Fortunately, not me. I don't map, so, you know, there's that. I made that first map and stuck to it.
Yeah, I'm watching Lars try this, and I'm thinking, like, there's no way this works, right? Like, this can't be like, we're watching him bash his head off this wall.
A lot of people are doing it.
And they're all trying it. And the problem is, we are seeing a couple of people actually make it up there. There are people who are getting close to making it up, but for the most part seem to be landing on their side or on their roof. And if it works, and if you can get it consistently, maybe this is faster. Oh, someone is getting it there. Dantafast, I think, up in front, actually got it cleanly. So in terms of world record strats, that looks like it. Rounds viable? I'm not convinced. No,
exactly. It does seem like that uphill here, where you normally would get to the GPS, is starting to get some more traction. Perhaps there is something that we have missed in our initial analysis, you know, being the couch stars that we are, just talking about how people should drive and shouldn't drive.
Yep,
But yeah,
yep.
I mean that's all we do. That's what I enjoy. That's what I love about the game, telling people how to drive and how they shouldn't drive. Well, they have no clue what I'm saying because they're probably just busy driving and not listening to me. But that's
listen,
okay. There's plenty of people listening to me. I believe it. I believe
That's
it.
true.
Somebody's listening to me, right?
100%. There's got to be someone here. It's definitely not just my mother on multiple different alts in chat right now.
So kind.
Look, she's supporting me. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's great.
Exactly.
There is also, I think, just on that first turn, and we'll see now, does Black Pulse go for it? Black Pulse will be going for it, but we'll cut away. I think it just sets you up for that second turn much more nicely. No braking, no drifting, no neos, no releasing required. You just go up that hill and you just line up very cleanly for the next turn.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like definitely playing towards rounds, right, with the eliminations and whatnot. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. You don't even have to come in first half of the rounds. I mean, you don't have to come in first all of the rounds until the final round. You could play it safe all the time. Now, would that pay off? Would that help you out? Usually not. It's usually those that tend to drive faster, that feel more at comfort risking lines, will naturally become more comfortable driving those risky lines. Yeah, you can get far, I would say, by playing the safe lines, but who knows, maybe along the way somebody will find something and stick to it. First couple of times, maybe scary, may not work all that well, but sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit. That's all I can say, and I appreciate a good risker.
I do as well. With that said, Marius, I think, still the most successful driver in mini RPG of the week history. And when you have a player known as the Safemeister, kind of having the most winning record, you gotta say, yeah, maybe there is something to this safing line. I will also say, Jaxie listening to us trying to get tips. I don't know how good an idea that is, to be totally honest with you. That's maybe we're going to offer useful advice more often than not. Who honestly knows? It seems unlikely if I'm going to level with you on that one, but I will agree with the second thing that Jaxie said there, which in general this map does just feel like it is going to reward the consistent players. There isn't alternate routes anywhere. It's more just about your own personal level of risk, how comfortable you feel jumping off, for example, that block a little bit early. We're seeing Ice go very early off that jump, where beforehand we were kind of seeing people go another car length up, or at the turnarounds in the middle. How early are you actually trying to just put the foot down, turn the car 100% and go again? And I'd say, looking at Ice here, we may see another relatively early turnaround on this one based on it. I think we're also seeing some players up in front there. You'll see some of them going for a bonk on the wall to aid their turnaround. Ice going for a double respawn strat potentially. There's options, but the risk is really a choose your own risk at the moment.
It is very much a choose your own adventure risk edition in this sense. And the players at this point, I mean, as I expected 10 minutes after I've set this now, that they are used to the track, they know where to go. It's no longer a question of where do I drive, where do I go, and it's, as you say, more risk. The risk is more in cutting lines short and short and short and short and shorter. And hopefully that will come into fruition as we get later into the rounds as well. Also interesting to see, I'm not sure how often the predictions of the mappers are correct in terms of how much time a track will take, but we already have several people beating that 58-second mark with Anix at the moment with a 54.5. That's solid driving right there. That's not just a small difference. That's a lot of seconds just taken off during qualifiers, and I mean, rounds could prove to bring some more reduction in time.
They tend to. And I will, even with this maybe unintended path at the start, even if this was not exactly what Sorrow had in mind when he was building this section, and to be honest, with the way it flows and with the way the rest of the transitions are set up, he might have seen it and just said, you know what, if they want to go for it, more power to them.
Yeah.
Even with that is not a 4-second time save at the start, right? These guys are still just driving very, very quickly indeed through the rest of the map.
Exactly. It's especially using this reactive boost Lucky Star, but deciding to go for the double respawn. But it's that turnaround, trying not to crash into any of the blocks on the side. Lots of times that you want to slow down, perhaps even Neo, to make sure you get these turns nice and tight. It also seems like dropping down into this hole as well, there's not a lot of space to really get below there. Perhaps that's just the way it looks from our point of view, but I think you could easily go off a bit too far to the left, a bit too far to the right, and you end up slowing down because you hit the ceiling of the block right there. It's all those minute changes, gaps, optimizations, and along the way, just being good at Trackmania. That lead to time saves. I mean, I swear I'm driving the same lines. I just don't know how he's 3 seconds faster than me, all right? He's got a different car.
It's true. It's honestly broken, and I do remember having those calls when I started playing Stadium 2 with my friend when I got into the game. And, we'd jump into a server. It was Time to Shine. It was the French server back then where we'd go because they just had a rotation. Just good times, but we would be doing it. And we were starting out on the game, and even when we started to feel like, hey, we're kind of getting the hang of this a little bit, right? You jump in and there'd still be people like, I got a clean run. Oh, they're still 4 seconds faster than me across the 30-second map. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous in that sense, how much difference there can be between players. Interesting line from Anix, but I think he hit the wall there.
Yeah, that's a full risk as well. I mean, I think he might have just been trying something out as much as anything there, because that line seems way too tight to make it.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's got 3 minutes left to keep working on experimenting with it. I think that's the point. What most of the players who have driven a sub-minute time are working on right now. Just really, finding the nooks and crannies, all the speed that they can gather, that they can gain. Yeah, it does seem like the first part is really that ramp, and then from this point on, going from the reactor, this is where a lot happens. I do like this line. It works.
Tight. It works. Do you know what it was? His last time around, I don't think he got the wide setup that he needed for it off the reactor, which it's risky.
I don't know. Do we allow wall banks? I don't know if we allow wall banks.
It's a little bit illegal, but if we don't call it out, I think we can avoid getting the cops here.
All right, go. The speed he gains out of that end there as well, though, Anix, you can really see driving a 53.7 with that. He's just going faster and faster. Last time he was the one taking it during the 41st week. I mean, currently first place if he can keep those times low and consistency high. I could easily see him taking it. And I mean, Anix, again, I haven't seen that many mini RPGs, but I know just outside of that, he's a great player and definitely a favorite.
Absolutely. And of course, Yannick's back again. Lars was on a run of very good form about a month ago. Dropped down a little bit since then, but is still a very threatening player to anyone near the top of the leaderboard. And I think just looking down the list, it's always going to be a fight for the top, especially on a map like this where there is a level of consistency that you can find just by being a very good driver. There's not really any tricks that you look at and say, yeah, even though, Yannick is a top tier driver, he's going to get caught out by this trick sometimes. I think we're going to see very consistent, very low times towards the end. And as you kind of mentioned there, that is the push and pull of Trackmania. Consistency high, times low, and getting that through the entire time is easier said than done. And I've just been reminded of what the intended way is there on the start by Yannick driving it. And it's like, yeah, no, that is an awful lot slower than this jump.
Yeah, you're going all the way around instead of just dropping down into checkpoint 1. Yeah, it's very clear. It does seem like, I want to say that the biggest time saves found so far is towards that ending, jumping up out of the tunnel, I will call it. Yannick's doing a great job there during his best time at the moment, the 53.6, to really have no airtime at all. He landed on the next platform, on the next block, pretty much as soon as he possibly could, and just accelerated forward. And I mean, it's fast, but I do wonder if that is the place where we might see some of these great players go down, just because the risk is just a tiny bit too high, the optimization bit too narrow. And you might get caught out due to that. I don't think that's going to cause too much of an issue in the earlier rounds, but
especially
I definitely see it being the way of just going out. Jungle Corp doing a great job at it as well. Ooh, bit of an awkward grind there, but not enough time to finish up his round there. Match time.
Yeah, it is match time. No elimination in the first round, but we have 76 drivers. And so, Boney, it's time to ask the question, how many eliminations do you think we're going to see in round 1 with a minimum of 8?
A minimum of 8. I mean, honestly, with the way it's going, how many players we got? 76. I could find myself seeing, let's say 10. I think first round 10. I'm gonna give it maybe a bit too high. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of ways of playing it safe, but there's also a lot of places where things can go wrong.
Tony, I gotta tell you, I was gonna say 10. And so I feel a little bit... This is why I should never let the other caster pick first.
There you go.
I'm gonna Price is Right you, and I'm just going to say 11.
No.
Yeah. I'm just
Fair
gonna
enough,
move it up by 1. All right.
All right.
I think that,
Play a bit higher, lower. Play a bit
that's the
higher, lower.
advantage. You go first, you get to steal my number. I go second, I get to just move it up by 1. That's the push and the pull of that. There is going to be a relatively long timeout time, or at least for these first couple of rounds as well, because, hey, this middle section of the map, while everything is straightforward, while there isn't any hidden paths at this point for the players who are joining, it is still tricky, and it is still going to cause some fails, and if your respawn isn't great as well, those sections are going to cause you a little bit of an issue. So we're going to see exactly how that does look, as we'll jump on board with Jaxie to see them cruise to the finish line here, with plenty of time left on the timeout, lining up this one. And this is, again, decision making. This is a map that is going to reward good decision making, because you have to decide when you come out of this turn here how you've landed, how you feel about just lining up for this platform, for this last beam with speed. Because if you do what yours just showed us there very kindly, and you kind of commit before you actually have the lineup because you feel like you need to gain the time back, you're gonna run into some problems halfway along that beam.
Oh yeah, it's an ending where you might feel like I got most of the track down, maybe a few respawns here and there, but the ending is all commitment, is all confidence. Just go for it. And despite the fact that you can drive in a straight line on a wide road, the moment we narrow it down is the point where some players may find themselves lose some of their composure and cause themselves to lose, and the checkpoint is quite a ways behind. I will say that I do enjoy the way the checkpoints are set up on the track. It doesn't allow for any awkward respawns. Most of the time, players are able to, just fully reset, go for it. No ring checkpoint in between a quarter pipe jump, for example, such of those things. It should give these players some time, but that ending as well, the checkpoint is a ways behind. You got that quarter pipe jump to do, and once again try and navigate across the beam. That may prove to be some players' undoing.
Yeah, it could be very difficult for a couple of players, or it could lose you an awful lot of time, and time that you cannot afford to lose. He's going to be fine, will not fall off the far side of that jump.
Yeah,
it's going to slow you down a little bit as well when you do get there, but still plenty of map left to go, and some players will be going for that double respawn strat. It's just easier and more consistent than turning the car around. It is, of course, also going to be just that little bit slower, as we'll be on board with Crazy trying to catch back up. Is sitting in 73rd at the moment, still a little bit of track left to do it, but a touch on the wall there. It's going to make it hard to get the speed, but we'll take a wider line and easily catch back up and into the safe positions for now. I'm seeing Heave down here, and I'm thinking that probably means that Heave is sitting somewhere near the start line, having not actually started the round.
And possibly could be, yeah. I think with the time
unable
right
to click
now,
on him. He's gone.
Yeah, I think he's not there. I think he's not there.
Yeah, it happens.
30 seconds remaining, though. We'll see if... Darky Hill should have enough time to make it. I would say one respawn is all they can afford, so perhaps we'll be able to finish. Mina, though, on the other hand. Oh, this is make or break right now. Oh, respawn, and with a wide line right there. You should be able to have enough speed, go up. Whoa. Doesn't reduce too much. 10 seconds. This is the moment. This is composure. This is confidence. This is where you just gun it. Slows down, takes it easy. No. Oh, hesitation
he's got
is
it. They're fine. They're fine.
Oh.
Just about.
Barely
just about.
Out.
It is 8 players eliminated, so you know what? We underestimated the level of skill on display tonight as well, Boney. It will only be 8 players eliminated that round. It will be a further 8 eliminated in this round. Our only other round of 8 eliminations is after this. We will be down to the 64, and we'll be down to 4 eliminations, all the way down to 16.
It's one more round, and there's still a lot of time at the back. Sure, there were, in the case of Heath, for example, maybe some disconnection issues right there. But even then, the playing field is thinning out, not as fast as expected, which I think all good on all the players that they are able to make it in. Herbie, though, not able to make it across the pool just there. We'll make it on the second try around. And it's really those types of things, right? There's space to make these jumps. Not quite sure what this lineup is.
It's just scenic. It's the scenic route for this lineup. Yeah.
Really making sure you got the speed.
It would have been very awkward if Herbie didn't make the jump there after that, after going for all the speed in the world. The next jump is, I think, going to be a little bit of an issue as well. Getting caught on that corner full 3-point turn will eventually get Herbie out and up the hill. Will make the jump and gaining back up into 66th position. Still needs to gain a couple here, but I think there's going to be respawns at the end. We're still in a position where if you get a clean end, there's one already to the left. If you can get a clean end, you're going to be okay for the most part. It needs to be a clean end from here on out. Herbie going for the lineup is going to be wobbling to the right, but keeps it on. Keeps it safe. Is still safe in 63rd position, and that will close things out. I think we're going to see pretty much everyone across the line who can get across the line at this point. And it'll be another 8 players eliminated. No big names gone this time. Everyone managing to at least start the round.
Yeah, oh, Mina trying to redeem some honor right there. Unfortunately, the sign in the way. But it does seem to be lights out at this point for any of the players who haven't finished just yet. And with a bit of a oof out of there, we say goodbye to another 8 players. Down to 64.
Down to 64. They go quickly when they go.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, aesthetically pleasing, we have exactly 64, which means that we will be down to exactly 16 when we go to 2 eliminations, and then down to exactly 4 when we go into single elimination, or 6. I can never remember because it's so rare that we actually see it land on an even number.
I do. That was interesting. I like the flow of cars right there. Just seeing a waterfall of cars dropping down for that first checkpoint where there are some players who, I mean, I do appreciate that. You're letting the GPS do the race for them. You know, I approve. I approve of that. I technically finished.
Yeah, he made it through a finish and the screen faded to black, and in some books that's a win. Maybe not on the actual scoreboard, and so yeah, like it turned out to be a DNF there at the back. We'll see now. There's going to be 2 people eliminated other than Nekojim and Jugador who are DNF'd in this round. One Eye will end up in a wall a little bit there, but you can see plenty of players still here. I'm not sure there's going to be speed. We'll have to go wide and will not quite make it. Another respawn coming through. It's going to be a little bit tough to catch back up from here.
Definitely. Number 62 driving right past Omega Cell. So One Eyed really the one at the moment left at the back. I'm not sure. Wait, did Omega Cell miss a checkpoint?
Must have. Must have. Which means that this is One Eyed safe at the moment because there's a 3rd DNF as well, and so we're only driving for 1 miss on track, and I'd be shocked if everyone had made it up that jump cleanly and into the finish as well. I'd expect at least 1 respawn, and so Omega Cell may still have a chance to get to the line here.
Yeah, ooh, Beanash actually now the one in the back, so if Omega Cell makes it across the beam, and they will, then it is Beanash, the only one still driving, hasn't DNF.
Also DNF'd.
Oh, actually DNF.
He's
no,
also
they're
DNF'd.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they
4
had it.
DNFs on that round.
Too much grass, too much grass. They always tell me to touch grass. I don't know. I don't really get the hype.
It's so true. They've clearly not been talking to Trackmania players, or, you know, it's the wrong type of people to say it to anyway.
I mean, do you have a lot? You got some grass enjoyers, right? Those who decided dirt isn't good enough for them anymore, and they decided to go for grass.
Like, yeah, well, that's honestly, you know, I've seen what they've done to the Cup of the Days. You know, like all these grass enjoyers, and now everything has to be speed grass. I don't know. Like, I'm not here for it really.
It has been a bit of an overflow. I agree with that. Somehow it just, you know, like I kind of like going full speed, but not too fast. So, you know, let me put in some grass.
Sometimes I like hitting my brake button. Yeah. Maybe that's just me.
I have found it.
We will see how things go in this round. We're already seeing it's starting to get a little bit cleaner already. There is still mistakes coming through, and it will still be, for a few rounds yet, decided by mistakes who gets eliminated. But Toto will be climbing back up pretty quickly. You can see even here, even in players that were dropping into those elimination spots early, they're pretty quickly getting through a lot of the rest of the turns. I mean, hey, as I say it, that's a little bit of a caster curve. Stratwav will get caught on a wall and will now be struggling to catch back up. But even still, recovering well and making that jump cleanly even after a couple of touches. And I think that speaks to the fact that already players getting to grips with what they need to do to make recovery drives. Yeah,
which I think, especially in rounds where... you know, you will have a mistake here and there. There is, I mean, I'd be extremely impressed if somebody were to make 0 mistakes across, what is this, 25 rounds. there's always a moment, there's always a point in time where the line isn't quite the way that you envisioned, the way you were doing during the rounds, the qualifiers beforehand. And it's the hallmark of a great player. You know, you can drive great times, you can drive your lines great, but there's always that moment where it goes wrong. How do you recover? How do you deal with that? And how do you compose yourself? Because it could easily turn into a snowball effect where you have a small touch, and that, you know, leads into a bigger crash, into missing the checkpoint completely, or crashing into the finish line, and just letting emotions get the better of you in that sense. I don't know if it's going to be as heavy as that in mini RPG, but hey, who am I? Your psychologist? Definitely not. But it's one of those things, you know, it can easily escalate.
True. And especially, you know, with drivers near the top, drivers who would be expecting a top 10, top 20 finish with a 20-minute warm-up as well. You'd hope that they spent some of that time figuring out their kind of recovery lines, figuring out what they need to do if things are going wrong for them. And we'll keep an eye if we do see anyone drop down in the next few rounds who is near the top of those times at the moment, what exactly they are doing. I do appreciate there as well, Niyama just choosing not to engage with any of these turns and just using the wall every time to get around them. And hey, it's worked out so far. We'll be climbing up into 52nd place. And sometimes the walls will do your work for you, and it's doing it for all three of the drivers on camera at the moment as well. But it will mean Happy Alien overtaken by Herbie, who's looking to fight to stay in. Another wall touch there will leave Happy Alien struggling to get the car under control. This one feeling like a little bit of a dash to the line. Who exactly is safe at the moment? Everyone's safe across the beam at the moment. Anix is going slowly in front and will just about stay in front of Herbie.
So close. It really came down to the wire. Many players right there, any of them could have lost their cool on the beam, but everyone did a great job. And at the end of the day, it was Herbie who was behind and was left behind due to that, along with Aganta. Gin tonic. That's unfortunate. I do enjoy a good gin tonic. And Aferer. I'm going to go with Aferer.
Yeah.
Sometimes names are a challenge, I will say. Even my name, for some reason, people don't. They don't. So I fully accept that.
Yeah,
and I hope people accept
look,
that from me.
I mean, my name is an Irish word, and would you believe very few people speak Irish? So,
no.
You know, it's crazy.
No.
Honestly, I was as surprised as you to learn it, because everyone I went to school with spoke Irish.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's how I feel about Dutch. I don't know how people don't know it. I just talking Dutch to them, they don't understand. I talk louder, and they don't get it, and I just
even talking louder doesn't work. That's crazy.
Doesn't work. You would say volume is the way forward, right? That's what they teach you in Duolingo, right? You just turn up the volume, and all of a sudden you understand the words. That's how I learned. But yeah, there
is I believe studies done on the fact that, you know, people feel like they're better at a language after a couple of drinks. The truth is that like people genuinely are better at languages after a couple of drinks, and it's partly because it's confidence, and you don't spend as much time like, I should know this word. You just move and pick another word, or like, you know, fill the gap around it, or you aren't overthinking it. It's really interesting. It's genuinely like people after a couple of drinks will be better at speaking a language, and it's largely confidence. And in similar ways, Trackmania driving about confidence, as you were saying, when you're not making those mistakes and you're not worried about them, you're not going to worry. But Jungle Core, now under the gun, will not be able to make another mistake between here and the end, and may already have made too many. It may be too late, but will still manage to recover and keep it clean to the end for a 51st place. Ultimately, Nabla will drop out as well. E-Fry and Edis gone too.
Turtling down below, seeing the finish right in front of them, yet unfortunately gravity took hold of them, and they just decided to take a nap. That's what it came down to. Take a nap, enjoy watching the rest of the mini RPG. 48 players remaining right now. I do enjoy the fact that there's still some players going for that normal line, right? The everybody decided the waterfall is the way to go, but not for everyone. And again, being comfortable with the way you drive, I think, is important, even if you don't expect to be the fastest. I mean, to know like you're driving a race you can drive.
It's going to be like what, a 2-second time loss, maybe a 3-second time loss there at the start. And put it this way, it's not been 2 or 3 seconds that have been knocking people out at the moment. So if you're clean enough through the rest of the map, I think that is perfectly viable. If that sets you up, if it gives you confidence going into the rest of the map as well, hey, do your thing. That's probably good enough for a top 20.
Definitely. Ooh, nice. Ooh, Niyama. did
They
like the
love the
risk
walls.
right there,
They
going
love the
left, going
walls.
right. But the walls help. The walls help. Ooh, Chaos unable to make it. Niamat deciding to go for the reset as well, as we have a conga line of players going across the beam. Ergen, though, leaving his teammate Dantefas up ahead. Oh no, is he up there? No, maybe. He's somewhere up.
It's somewhere. It was somewhere nearby.
around.
That's what the scoreboard tells us. Unfortunately, our eyes are telling us something different at the moment. We'll see when we get to the line. Did Dantefas manage to finish? I think it was a respawn somewhere along the way. Darrigan will finish in 42nd. A lot of cars behind at the moment. Creasy crosses through as well. Orion will make it through in 44th place to shut out Dantefas, and Snow will drop. Irish representation dropping out in 46th. You hate to see it.
Just 46 is just, it's a good placement, you know. I respect it. I haven't even placed, you know. So
it's nearly top half.
Exactly.
That's, you know, when you put it that way, it's nearly above average.
That's the way I like to see it. Barely above average, and you know, that's the way I like it. You know, and don't outshine anyone. Maybe, I don't know if that is the way. Maybe that's not the advice I should be giving to people. I'm very average,
just so that I don't ever make anyone feel bad about themselves.
Yeah. Important. It's a good skill to have, you know. I'm a people person. I just, you know, I'm average, so they don't question.
We're going back to themes of under promise, over deliver. That's it's the right way to maybe just promise and deliver is what promise the motto actually is here. Yeah. Promise. Honestly, if more people live their lives like that, I'd be very happy.
Oh yeah. Very, very true. You know, you can make overcomplicated. You know, sometimes that was a good quote. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Yes, I love that quote. It's great so quote. True.
It does bog people down quite a bit, especially with a game like Trackmania. People tend to just want to drive their best, go their best, and I think, I mean, this form of right knockout rewards that. No, you don't, because you only have this shot at getting it through the round, and if you mess up, too bad. You're gonna have to keep going. Gardolf trying to take it a bit easy. Does make it over. Gets in. Jojo. Oh, any Jojo fans may be upset to see their crowd favorite come in 43rd.
Yeah, Jonathan Joestar eliminated in 43rd now. Absolutely devastating for any of the anime fans out there. But hey, it's 2 players from Loading eliminated as well over those couple of rounds too. It's going to be tough, and Dratuav, a player we'd seen a couple of times, Happy Alien as well. Both of them held on for a long time, given how close they were to the risk zone. It's another good sign of mental, is seeing those flashing red bars and being able to recover, being able to stay composed long enough to make it to the line over and over. And it is going to start to get tighter and tighter. We are still seeing mistakes on that early jump. I still don't think we're going to see those entirely cut out, maybe even by the time we get to the top 5, but they're going to become rarer and rarer and become more and more punishing as we see this bottom 4 starting to drop a little bit away from the rest of the pack now.
Oh, one of our co-casts, Orion, right there, actually the one in the back at the moment, has managed to find his way out of that bottom 4, so we'll be safe for now. But Seafil, we have seen play a bit as well, also a bit at risk. Alex? Yeah. Going for a left to right approach. I'm not sure about that, because it does land you quite awkward, very close to the lamppost. Does manage to make their way across it. Sylphius following suit with not Spider but Spoder, the one keeping him away from finishing in a position that could land him a spot in round number 11. Gonna come down to it. Let's look at this composure. Let's look at this confidence. Sylphius actually decides to go for a slowdown to make sure they make it across the beam. And it will be enough, actually. Antos, not quite sure. We haven't seen him, but
and we won't see any more of him.
Yeah, we won't see any more of him. He's gone. He's out.
He's
Ryan
out
stays
there.
in. Yitski out. Jean Vreuve out. And Habe.
And you know what as well? Sylvius did just kind of put the boot down a little bit there on the pipe, on the beam at the end. And it was necessary. He still only finished about 3/10 ahead. And if he had kind of safed it a little bit harder, feeling like, oh, I'm probably out anyway, I may as well just make it across and get to the end, would not have worked out. So taking the risk, pushing a little bit harder at the end works out that time around. And you got to keep going all the way until every car has crossed the line, because you just never know.
True. You never know. It's why it's important to keep driving your game as well. And I think especially in this format, it's even more important to just keep driving, right? Just keep driving, and eventually you'll make it across the finish line. You may be first, maybe last, but you know, as long as you keep driving, I think you can be happy about your race. See, Crizzy will go left, right. Yeah, left into the right. Does hit the wall along the way. I don't think I have enough speed. Ooh, barely enough
well
speed.
judged.
Very, very good jump right there. Not Harry, though, shooting themselves into 32nd. Once again, Sylvius finding themselves on the bottom 4 spots. Ryan actually with a DNF. Oof, unfortunate. Sad to see. Alex try to somehow get some time back. Overtakes Sylvius. Clips over the edge, though, but it did matter. It did matter once more. On
Sylvius staying calm on the beam has paid off twice now. That's pretty impressive. Hey, getting your round down, having everything down works out. And Sylvius can surely only ride this line for so long before it starts to bite a little bit. So Ryan, it's Jam, it's Mange-moi le Bolet, all gone in that round. Mini RPG of the Week regulars now starting to drop a little bit as we do crest that halfway mark. We'll head towards a top end of the map. We haven't really talked about what the times are looking at the very top of the map in a little while. And the answer is they haven't really improved all that much since we finished our discovery. A 20-minute discovery on a map with really no hidden secrets. Not really. I mean, players have kind of figured it out. You know, they got the times that they could set for the most part. We've seen one improvement above Yannick's from Anix by another 0.2. But other than that, while people are making improvements, there's not really big gains to be made in how players are approaching the map.
No, and I think especially because those lines seem to be figured out to a certain extent, figured out enough at least to play them at a 54, 53 times in rounds. I can expect a nice tight finals to occur because of the comfortability that these players will have with driving these lines. Lux Turbo barely eking themselves into position 28 though, but look at that pack. All towards the line. Which of these will be able to do it? Sylvius once again deciding to slow down a bit. Toto having to
Wait, didn't need to reset. Did not need to reset. Absolutely did not need to reset. That's got to be a misclick. That's heartbreaking as well. Toto will drop out.
Sylvius with the PayPal.
PayPal is keyboard on that one, I think. Just sent the money straight to his respawn key there. That's tough. It's a tough way to drop out. Harry will be gone. Well, oh, sorry, that's not Harry.
That's not Harry. Come on.
Harry will be dropping out as well. Off to go and explore some potential shortcuts on the map, I think. Was asking in chat earlier whether or not you could jump straight into checkpoint 5. And the answer is, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see if anyone manages to discover that after the map has been up for a little while as well. But 4 more players gone, including, unfortunately, Jaxie. It happens, and it is time to just sit back and relax and enjoy what the rest of the players are going to be putting up now, because we are heading rapidly towards a top 20 with a lot of good players remaining still in the field.
Yeah, I'm still rooting for Sylvius. He's been able to make it through so many of these rounds. Seemingly, you know, this is it. This is the moment. Yet somehow just prevails every single time.
It's the concept of a main character in this format, right?
Oh, yeah.
The main character is always the person who is just on the edge, who is showing up on the broadcast more often than anyone else because they're in these hot seat positions. And it's just here then for most of the stream. And you know what? Yeah, Sylvius absolutely in the main character position tonight.
Definitely. Ooh, Mutex, though, trying to get themselves out of his 27 spot at the moment. Good approach, though, on the checkpoint will help out in those positions, barely eking themselves into 24th. Spyra, the one, I saw Spyro for a second, but that's a whole nother thing. Oh, I don't know about that 8 move. The 8 approach is not helping out too much with the lamppost. Seemingly placed very much on purpose.
Oh, Anix is down here again.
Anix!
Anix gone? Anix is gone.
Anix is gone.
Yo, that's big. I feel like that's a couple of weeks now where we've seen, I can't remember if we've seen Anix every time, but recently we have seen kind of top of the leaderboard dropping out relatively early a few times in a row. And sometimes it does come down to just pure risk, and the players that are getting the best times are risking a lot more, even in rounds where they really don't need to be. But we were talking, right, Boney, about the kind of learning your recovery lines and learning lines that are round safe as well, I think is a big part of that. And the players who are posting the best times at the top of the leaderboard aren't always learning round safe lines.
True. yeah, it's very much working towards speed and what will benefit them the most in terms of time save. And I think that's that's that Achilles heel. It's the type of player that either will come in first place all the time or last place all the time, right? There's no in between. It's just make or break, win or lose, in the best or worst way possible. So no. Not another victory in the books this time for Anix, though he will have first place in the local records. Yannick's now being the second favorite, I suppose, if we were to look towards the local records. Still in, so definitely a possibility at the moment, though. We see Mutex getting a bit of a crash here and there, but I'd say okay. You don't need a lot of speed to get over this jump. It does look like, I want to say 120-ish.
They've got it figured. They've got it started. They've figured out exactly what they need to do. Even if they're not looking at exactly what the speed is, they've got the feel of it down now after a full 14 rounds as to what exactly works, what exactly doesn't. Guard off. Right now, that line doesn't look like it's going to work. We'll recover enough to at least get an attempt on the pipe, but is there enough respawns in front? I don't think so, because I think Jozo has crossed the line in 21st place. Gardoff will drop out as well. Yogg in 23rd, and Seafill will DNF on the round as well. Oh, now we're inside our top 20. Mutex, I gotta say, making a strong late run for main character title as well. Has been holding on in the last few rounds, just about. And with a 20th place in that round is going to take us into our top 20.
Top 20 remaining. And you can see the times as well. That this time around, the slowest player with a 1:13. Still a far cry from those 53s that we see at the top 20 seconds. But getting faster and faster, right? We're already far away from having the timer time us out, and it hasn't been the map that has really put anyone in that position, per se. But fewer and fewer mistakes are being able to be afforded, which is to be expected with fewer players, and very curious to see which player at this point will be able to stay up afloat. Spoder at the moment, 16th place. Good approach on to the next checkpoint. Good jump as well. Doesn't manage to hit any of the obstacles laying in the way of these players. Maggie with an illegal wall bounce will make sure they make their way into the final checkpoint and go for that quarter pipe jump. Tries to reduce a bit of the air, but with a crash right there, maybe enough with Tak falling all the way behind.
Yeah, was in 8th place and now will drop all the way into 17th and out. Mutex will fall. Sylvius will fall as well. Mutex ultimately does finish above Sylvius, so that is both our main characters gone, but this is the point of the competition where if someone has been holding on by the skin of their teeth, you do expect to start seeing them fall now, as you really can start to afford significantly less mistakes, as Tak learned to their detriment there at the very end.
Also, Yannick's there, getting close to that 52 with a 53.1 this time around. Curious to see if we'll be able to see that threshold be broken within the couple of rounds that we have remaining. At this point, 2 eliminations going down from 4. And it's definitely heating up, right? We're seeing the players that you would expect to see in a top 16 with, you know, a few upsets here and there. So Revolution going out as well earlier. So Hazur and Spoder right now fighting their way towards the top. Hostile as well. Quite close together, in fact. Ooh, Lucker's Turbo also finding themselves in a bit of an awkward spot. Doesn't go for the respawn, instead for the round around, though. Hostile hasn't really lost a lot of time on him there. I think it's going to come down to the second half of the track. Hostile going for an earlier jump into it. Neck and neck with Lucker's Turbo at the moment, and actually haven't been able to both put themselves a bit more safe. So Spoder and Black Bull's the ones to be a bit worried about their future.
You hate to see it. Admin down in the elimination spots, not even going to make it into the top 10 for the Liquipedia page. Just
yikes.
Tough. It's tough, you know. We'll see if Spoder can catch Haz on the beam here. Not quite going to make it, though. Was gaining, and with another couple of hundred meters there of beam, I think we might have been able to catch back up. But we'll not be able to. Black Pulse will drop out in 16th place. And something that I did want to kind of keep track of, and we haven't really been able to, but was called out for us in chat. There is one player remaining in the competition at the moment who is taking the non-cut way at the beginning. Gardoff turning left where everyone else was going right. At least they claimed they were, and did drop out a couple of rounds ago. So we are now down fully to everyone left in the competition here in our top 14. Everyone in our top 16 still is going for that faster way, the right-hand jump, going up towards the GPS and then cutting a left. And that is how it's going to look from the rest of the map here on out.
Kyle right now, though, starting to fall a bit behind, but keeps it safe, keeps it clean. I love the respawns are still in there. Nico as well going for the respawn likewise. I mean, there is a bit of time to be safe, definitely, in getting that turnaround, but it seems to not impact too much. It's really down to these small jumps up the ramps, and this one in particular as well. If you're able to reduce your airtime quite a bit here, it will prove to be beneficial. Sky, bit of an awkward landing, allows Nico to overtake. It's going to come down to the beam. Actually, Maggie falling behind a bit as well, but does keep away Skyle just barely. Just a few tenths of a second between the two players, and Flo, who was falling behind towards the second half, unfortunately stays behind.
That's all of the players from loading. They're all gone. Yeah. All of the loading players now eliminated. Hey, Flo stayed a lot longer than the rest of them with us here. So, you know, that's at least nice. And we are now into the point of the competition where the race for Liquipedia spots is on the line. Top 10 after this round, and they will get their names immortalized in history. We'll see who makes it through. Turbo, still in the competition, despite a couple of mistakes, dropping him towards the back, has not found himself in those elimination spots come the finish line just yet. And while it was a relatively slow start there, is still up ahead of them. There's going to be a respawn from someone who landed awkwardly there. Has will be gaining back up, should be up into 11th. Possibly even climbing into 10th place. No, still in 11th place as Boj will be a long way down in the... This turnaround, though, definitely a chance to make or break for some of these players. And it will be break for Haz. He needed to break coming out of that jump and falls a little bit behind Maggie. It's going to be a tight race to finish. Two different approaches. Maggie went for the turnaround, but gets their roof caught on the lip of that hole. Means they fall back behind Haz, and it'll all come down to the last beam. Who can keep it clean? Who can get across the line cleanly? It's Maggie with an inside line. It's a drag race to finish. Haz will fall off, and that is an L for falling off for Haz. Maggie takes it home in 10th.
Look at that. You gotta love to see that. I do enjoy the finish and the way it's set up. It's a very simple idea. It's a beam. You know, you just drive over the beam. It shouldn't be that hard, right? Yet when you are down to the wire, knowing you're about to be eliminated, if you just have a bit more speed, if you just commit a bit more on driving forward out of that grass turn, you'll be fine. But that's not how it will feel in that moment in time. Unfortunately, it proved to be detrimental for Hazel right there. So 10 players will remain. Lucas Turbo still fighting strong along with Maggie. Maggie, who has been... I think that the speed that they've been gaining out of that beam has been their saving grace so far. Because they have made some mistakes here and there, right? They're struggling to stay in, having been in those bottom spots. But regardless, still fighting, still going. Beautiful to see. Ixon... notable player right now, finding themselves close to being down and out. Maybe those Trackmania skills will be proven good to use as they overtake Maggie, who now finds themselves on 9th place of going for the illegal wallbang. Gotta love to see it. I'm sure those tires can handle that, no problem whatsoever. A lot of airtime from Maggie. Ixon as well, but as long as Ixon is able to keep his wheels on the beam, they should be a-okay, and they will be able to do so. So Nico and Maggie, once eliminated for this round, 8 players remaining, and we go down from 2 to 1. Oh no, sorry, not yet.
No,
6 players.
Still at least another round, and it is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath. A quarter of the field dropping out in the next one is going to be exciting, and we'll see how that one goes. Plenty of players from Red Blue making it into our top 10 tonight. 3 of them, and the first one will drop out in that last round. Nico now gone, but Enos and Liker both remain for the team. And there is some big names up against them. Ice, Ixon, Yannex, Lars, Turbo, all still up here. And I think we are set for a bit of a grandstand finish when it comes down to our top 3.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think it's definitely one of those up to for the draw. For anybody who finds themselves being a bit more comfortable. Ooh, Hostile, not happy with the speed, will go for the standing respawn. So Turbo, Hostile, and Ice, the ones currently duking it out for a spot in the top 6. Curious to see which of these three will be able to do it. Currently, Turbo, the one in the lead. Hostile with a little bit of a clip. Ice.
Also with a bit of a clip, but he looked like he lost speed there. It looked like he lost speed. This is going to come down to the wire, as it is all of them very much in a place, and these two, Ice and Turbo, are battling it out. This is it. Drag race to the finish line. If either of them falls off, that's it. Turbo, more speed, will overtake Ice. And both of them are clean, but one of them is clean and quick. Turbo locks in top 6.
Gotta love the confidence in that one. Just going out of that grass turn, and I'm not sure if he's playing cam 2 or cam 1, but in cam 2, what I like to play, I would not be comfortable with that at all. I don't know where that beam is. It just comes out of nowhere.
Jumps at you. Yeah, that beam, it's scary, man. It will jump scare you coming out of that last turn. I mean, hey, we gotta say it, Boney. This is looking like it's going to turn into potentially a relatively familiar kind of top 5, top 4. These are all players who have been around and players who are all very good. I mean, Lars has not looked as comfortable on this map as he has on some others, but Turbo as well has been having a little bit of a rough time of it at times. Has, look, made it to a top 6, so that is a very relative rough time compared to a lot of the rest of the field. But right now, anything that's a little bit rough is likely to cost you.
Yeah, just a hard start as well. Multiple crashes, definitely proving to be a looker's bane at the moment. Just getting past the reactor boost now as well. I think it's going to be lights out for Turbo unless somehow Enos just doesn't find their footing on the beam, and I highly doubt that. But, you know, never say never. Nah, looks good. He is A-okay, and Turbo just making a few too many mistakes from the get-go. Going to be his downfall, dropping down and out in spot number 6, which still a great position.
Good. It's still a very good finish. I mean, hey, we get ever closer to yet another Lars versus Yannick's final, which I'm not going to complain. They're usually bangers, but it's still nice to see someone else jump into them for once. And Red Blue, Liker and Enos both making a pretty strong case that it could be a Red Blue player up there. Enos has been having a good couple of weeks as well. Has been performing near this top level quite a lot. A couple of top 5 finishes over the last few weeks. So, nice to see new names, not new players, but new names to the Mini RPG of the Week pop up and start to perform well. Right now, that is very much the case. The balance between players who've been doing very well recently and players who've been here for a while and well. This potential Yannick finals is now in a little bit of danger. Going to be on the hunt, but I'll be totally honest with you and say I think there are a few places that I would want to be less in Trackmania than trying to escape Yannick's on a mini RPG map.
He's really starting to risk it, you see, but the moment he starts going for these jumps as tight as he possibly can, it just means he doesn't have enough speed to make it across these seemingly simple jumps across the little ramps, nooks and crannies of the track right there. So I think as well at this level, Exxon actually losing quite a lot of speed. This could be Yannick's chance for redemption if he is just able to get a bit more speed on Exxon. Perhaps one slight mistake from Exxon just to help out, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't... No.
Nope, he's not going to catch him. He gained an awful lot on Ixon there, though. Yannick drove like a madman in the back half of that map. I mean, he drove the same way he drove the first half of the map, honestly. After he made a little bit of a mistake on the first jump, he started trying to risk it, as you called out, in the middle of the map. And the difference was, in the back half it worked, in the front half it led to another mistake that put him just too far away from the rest of the field. So, Yannick's gone in 5th place. The field now blown open at the top in many ways, and it's going to be up to each of these players to seize control of their own destiny. Ixon versus Enos, the race at the moment for that elimination spot, but they have not lost contact with the top 2 either. And one mistake is starting to feel like one mistake too many. Enos has not made that mistake, but he is falling behind, and they may be reliant on that mistake from someone else.
Going 2 standing respawns there as well, one from Ixon, one from Enos, just to make sure they stay in the race. Weren't too happy about their approach up towards that reactor boost. Will mean though at the moment Enos is still left behind, trying to make their way into a potential top 3 position along with their teammate Liker, though. Right now it seems like Liker being the one to close the gate on Enos is going to come down to the wire. Once again, these players side by side at the front, but at the back, unfortunately, Enos is kind of lost it, just falling too far behind. Look at the times as well, 54s and 55s being driven by the players. Great pace, but Enos unable to join their teammate in the top 3.
Hey, it's getting fast. It is getting pretty fast up there. I mean, hey, they're a second and a half away from the current local record. But this is not a map that is going to reward you from trying to catch that local record in rounds as tight as these, with a little bit of space left to drive, with a little bit of time. You can leave on the table, and that is Ixon leaving a little bit of time on the table as well. Lars and Leiker out to an early lead. Ixon on the hunt and hoping for exactly that mistake from Lars. It's not necessarily a huge one. He's still within touching distance, but he is now a few tenths behind from being a few tenths ahead.
Yeah, it really came to that start as well. It's a bit of an awkward jump with the new line that the players have discovered. Lars barely made that, my word. But to then, having these beams not even that wide, I think the players, maybe a bit too comfortable. Maybe Lars was feeling a bit too comfortable with those uphills, because of that, clipped their wheels across the side. Just like that, fighting for survival. Ixon and Leica right now side by side though, and Lars hitting the tree. I think it's lights out for him now with a 55-2 and a 55-6 being driven by Leica and Ixon. It's going to be a final between those two, and Lars is just going to have to watch from the sidelines for this one. It proved to be the round where we may have said goodbye to Ixon, but that just a bigger mistake, right? It's it wasn't even a lot of mistakes, just one bigger mistake. That's all you need.
It's true, and I think similar things happened to Lars as happened to Yannick's, where he started to try to risk it. The difference being Lars somehow kept the car on track, but those kind of risks continued to add up. It's led to this. It's led to the showdown between Evo and Red Blue, Leiker and Ixon taking each other on for the title of Mini RPG of the Week champion for week 43, and they will make it cleanly through the first few sections of the map. No mistakes just yet, and we'll see two different strategies here. Ixon will come away with the lead as well. Does Leiker even up to speed? He doesn't. No. That's it. That's the mistake that will cost you the week, as it now comes down to whether or not Ixon makes a mistake, and I don't know if there's a mistake big enough from here on out for Leiker to get back into it.
I highly doubt it. Ixon decided to go for the standing respawn, and it proved to be the right choice. Leiker just tried to go for it again, I did see, and I think that cost him too much time. I think Ixon could easily respawn now if he needed to, but no problem, no sweat. He was down for the bottom a couple of players a few times, but cool, calm, collected, just keep on driving, keep on going. 54-6 to close out the race and win the Mini Cup RPG of the Week, week number 43.
Yeah, all around just a good performance, and played to exactly what we were saying all night long. It is that push and pull between consistency and speed in a mini RPG. And Ixon, he went for consistency over and over and over in the middle of that map, not even trying for the turnaround. It maybe cost him 5 tenths off of his potential personal best, but you saw it. That final round did not need a low 53, didn't even need a high 53, a 54-6, good enough to win that final round. And consistency, Boney. We asked for it, Ixon delivers, and he gets himself a win as a result.
Definitely. It's definitely a well-deserved victory there as well. Perhaps, if the players that were somewhat at the top, right, with Lars driving great times, Yannick's driving great times, Yannick's driving great times, if they perhaps found themselves, against Ixon in that position, maybe it could have been a bit different. But I think the track itself is a bit inconsistent due to the fact that these players have found this mini cut, if you will, mini cut of the week, because of the landing not really lining up as good as it always could, and from that point on causing a bit of a snowball effect. It's good to see that Ixon was able to recover. I think that's what allowed him to stay in the race. And when he 9 out of 10 rounds are driving great, and at 1 out of 10 may not be going the way he maybe wants it to go, but he recovers, he takes care of it, he deals with it, and just moves forward. It's for that, ups and downs, but at the end of the day, finding himself at the top. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And interestingly, a mini cut is now what my barber gives me as well, with all the hair that I've been losing over the last couple of years. It's tough out here. It's tough. Yeah, all right, listen, we can maybe do a deal on that one, but we'll talk about that off camera. And thank you very much to everyone who has joined us here. As always, get involved in the Discord. The RPG community is a very welcoming one indeed, and they'd be delighted to have you over there. If you think you could make a map for Mini RPG of the Week, Zeterate is always on hunt to fill fill out the coming weeks. And of course, we are heading now rapidly towards Season 3. I have no idea what that means for maps, but who knows? Zedorite may have some different ideas that he wants to share with you if you get in contact and talk about mapping with them. We're going to be back for another edition of Mini RPG of the Week next week, every Wednesday. And in a few weeks' time, under 2 months now, we are going to be having our Season 2 finale. So that's another good reason to join the Discord. Keep an eye on everything that is going on over there. We will catch you back here next Wednesday for another edition. Week 44 will be coming up.
Oh God, just a second. Think I might have slept in. I'm the one who made this bed. I gotta rep it. Ain't no rest for the wicked or the selfish. But maybe there's another way to say that I like to our boss when I calls you. Ain't a thing that is cold but a fall through. Got a couple nights and day